Quick, do you know how many Google reviews you have and how many stars? How much time, effort, and money are you willing to spend on reputation management, also known as preventing a PR crisis? Today, I talk with founder and CEO of Reviewly, Jack Schwerdt. Join me right now for another episode of Strategy Talks.
Let's strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Here's your host, Morin-van.
Welcome, everybody. For those of you who join me live, happy October. We are here on a special time at 10 a.m. Eastern because my guest is all the way in Arizona and it's pretty early for him to join us. So I said, well, we're restarting the show after a 6-week hiatus, so why not do it at 10 a.m.? So if you're here live, welcome. We appreciate you being here. If you watch us on the replay, would you please put hashtag replay in the comments or ask questions whenever you have them. And that way my guests and myself can answer them. And I want to do a special shout out, as always, to our podcast listeners, those of you who go to Spotify or Apple and listen to Strategy Talks as a podcast. We appreciate you as well. Without much further ado, I want to bring onto the stage and onto the screen with me my friend Jeff Schwerdt. Jeff, how are you this morning?
I'm early here in Arizona. How are you doing, Doreen?
I am good. Yeah, I knew it was going to be early. So 5 a.m. would have been like really early for you to get up and be on camera. So you are CEO and founder of Reviewly.ai. We're going to talk about reputation management today, talk about Google reviews. But before we do, Jeff, how and what is it like to be a SaaS founder? The ups, the downs, the crazy stuff. Do you want to just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a fun ride. You get to control your future to a point. And I've always liked a challenge or the next problem I have to tackle from there. So for me, it's a constant, putting out the small fires or figuring out what the next problem or how to kind of level up to the next step as a SaaS founder, and really taking and learning from the past and previous wins and successes and even the losses of like, hey, we try this and we're making the adjustments from there. So it's something that's just not mundane. It's something that gives you a challenge, but I'm also knowing that I'm actually making a service offering to small business owners, to agencies that really help them grow their businesses as well.
That makes a lot of sense. Jeff, you come from a background of the military, right? You are a former F-16 pilot. How does that training that you have prepare you for being in this space, in marketing, in SaaS, how does it align or how does it help you?
For me, it's been keeping everything pretty even keel, right? The wins aren't so high, the losses aren't so, or the losses aren't low, and knowing that if you are able to tackle the objectives that you have for the day, the way that we set out things are like we have quarterly objectives, kind of like I did when we had a mission or a flight. They needed to be measurable. They needed to be something that was attainable with a specific time frame for us, and we set that in our businesses as well. So that's something that like I take that, I've brought that over into how we run it and build the company. But we're also very pragmatic about it. So the data is the data, right? It tells you exactly where you're at right now, if you're growing, if you're churning too many customers, and then look at it in a non-emotional way. Like, oh man, we had a great month, or this quarter wasn't as good as we planned, and really diving into it and taking ownership of it. So as a SaaS founder, a lot of us just like your product is your baby, right? It's like another kid that you're trying to raise. But if you look at it in a way of like, it's the data and the numbers and how are you gonna be able to get to the next spot, that's the way we look at it. And so I think I've taken that from kind of my previous career and moved it in to, hey, look, it's a new problem every single day, every flight, new mission or a change, and we do the same thing. So we run it very data, it was on a lot of data. We run it very military like, where everything off a calendar or a basis and a schedule, and we do it where it's not just free flowing, and it's more of a, not a corporation, but it's very structured in a way for us.
That makes a lot of sense. I love that. Jeff, why reputation management? Your company, Reviewly.ai, allows people to gather Google reviews better, faster, and allows busy business owners to have everything in one place where they see a review come in, can respond to it in real time on their phone, and makes that whole process of reputation management easier. And we're going to get into that a little bit more in just a second, but why did you jump into reputation management? Did you see an industry opening? Did you see a way to do it better? Or was it a very specific instance that you're like, everybody's doing this wrong and I can do it better kind of thing?
A little bit of all of that, actually. I did have a previous management company that I exited back in 2019, and I saw the space hadn't evolved. I knew AI was coming on board. It was going to be more and more prevalent. And if you did it right, you can make an impact. But why reviews? Why reputation? It's the number one a business can actually control in the day-to-day operations of their own business and their own company that can make a positive impact for them. Because when customers search for that local business, they're going to be looking at them on the Google business profile, which is when somebody Googles you and they do a near me search, they look up the business. And what Google's going to do is they're looking for overall rating, the number of reviews, the recency of when you had your last reviews, if you're active on that Google business profile, and they're going to serve up the ones that are participating the most with Google to those customers, because they know that they're going to give them a great result. So when I'm a business owner and I'm looking at myself versus my competitors, there's a couple of things that you really want to pay attention to. And because you can impact those on a day-to-day basis, like what's your rating? So if you're generating new reviews every single day and you're doing a good job with your customers, then you can increase the overall rating of that business, which means that I'm more likely going to pay attention to you. The number of reviews and the recency, the average number of reviews that a business has on the Google business profile is right around 39, 40. I call it my 40-100 rule. So 40 is what the average business has. However, there's a huge gap between what they have and the expectation, because the expectation of a consumer, of a customer, when they look at that business, that they've been in business for a little while, not just brand new, a month or two, is that they have 112 plus reviews. So in the 40-100 rule, 100 is the benchmark that you're looking for. So if you don't have 100, you don't really meet the consumer's expectation. You might have 5 stars, but 3 reviews, right? They know that you're not participating in the Google business profile from there. So looking at that, we're like, all right, so that business needs to have at least a 4.2 rating. The most trusted business rating window is 4.2 to 4.5. So anything a 4.2 or higher, we look at as good. 40 is the absolute minimum. That's the average. Anything below 40 is you're below average. And then 100 is the expectation. So that's about a 2.5 times gap between what the average and the expectation is of the number of reviews you should have and what the consumer is looking for. So when we're looking at all of this, we're like, how can we make it better? How can we make it easier for the customer to leave that business owner a review? And what we found was a little bit over half of the individuals that we talked to, that we surveyed, said that they either don't have the time or they weren't sure what to write about the business. It's like asking your professor for a recommendation of your previous job. Usually what they say is they tell you, draft something up for me And if I like it, I'll sign off on it, or I'll make some tweaks. You ever ask a professor for a letter of recommendation? They don't want to write 50 of them for all the students. Give me what you think I'm going to say about you. Think of that with what we do with Reviewly.ai. So we have a process that allows a customer to let us know that they were happy with the recent experience. And if they don't leave a review right away, you have the ability to have the AI help them with a draft. Now, the draft's not going to write the review for them and just have it automatically post online. That's not what we want. We want human interaction. We want a human touch on this. But some people just need a little help getting that a little bit of a boost to those reviews. So that's why we brought in the AI portion of this. And then now as a business owner, there's a couple different ways that you can generate that. We can ask the customers via text message, right? It's a simple process. If you have their data, you go out and you can send them a request for feedback. And based on that feedback request, ask them for a review or potentially help solve a problem before it becomes a negative review. And then in the last year or so for us, I mean, one of the big things for me was what is the fastest way to get a review posted on Google.
Right. I'm going to stop you right there because this is what I think a lot of small businesses run into, right? They want to ask for the review, but they don't have their link. They're like, can you leave me a Google review? And people go, sure. But then they don't have a way to get the customer straight to the Google review. That is one of the number one mistakes, especially location-based businesses. They might have assigned asking for the review, or they might even have trained their staff to ask for a review. But unless you have a direct link to where you want them to leave the review, the customer's going to walk away. You've lost them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the big things. And then we had a problem of working with certain business types, like say a restaurant, right? How many restaurants do you know get their customers' data? They don't. Or maybe a service-based business where you've got folks out in the field all day, or a sales team on like an auto dealership floor, right? Those are difficult to say, oh, hey, do you mind if we send you something and go through there? So that's one big thing we took a look at. And what we did with that is we created a physical product. So we have a physical product that allows the business owners to link directly to their Google business profile, and at the point where the customers are happiest. They just are done with their service. They just gave you a compliment. You just finished the job repairing their roof after a storm. You now can ask them, hey, would you mind scanning or tapping this device and leaving us a review on our Google profile right there on the spot? And that leads us to like, hey, there's multiple ways to put people into that review generation funnel or lead directly to the Google business profile, because you shouldn't be doing anything other than directing them right to, could you please leave me a review right here? They're happy, you're physically in person, and they're willing right there on the spot to leave a review. Where do you want to send them? Right to that.
Right. And you don't want to ask somebody to go to Google and look them up on the map or find the profile, or, you know, you've lost them. If you make them do something like that, you've lost them. We all know anybody who owns a credit card or a debit card knows how to tap or knows how to scan, right? We all know how to do those things. It's an easy ask. So I love that you've created a digital product. And you mentioned like going out on a job, like a roofing company or installation or a plumber, where they have multiple people in vans, multiple service providers, and they touch multiple clients each day. And by giving, you know, a wallet card or one of those plates in their vehicle, when they talk to a happy customer, it's a very easy ask, right? You always kind of like, hey, were you happy with my service? You know, we're going to send you the bill in a minute, or, you know, like, how can we send you the bill? You know, you have this follow-up conversation with the client before you walk out the door. That's a perfect time to ask for that review. And I love that you have that physical product. So moving forward, you did say something about, you know, earlier about Google My Business Profile. And I would love to ask you if there are some things that business owners should know about or think about getting ready. I love that one of the other things that you said, like you need to signal Google that this is an active account. And,
Mhm.
I want to like kind of go back to that. Is posting, for example, to Google My Business, is that a signal? What other ways can people signal to Google like, hey, we're active company. Yes, we're an active account. Send us people when people search for XYZ business near me. What are the signals that we need to be aware of?
There's a couple things, right? Any activity that you can do. So if you can do posting, right? So upload photos and images on a regular basis. Doesn't need to be every single day, but on a regular basis. Updates, you can use third-party software that posts images and things like that. They post to the update section of the site. Think of holiday hours, right? If you make sure that you even just confirm or deny the change in your holiday hours, Google knows you're actively participating because you've responded to them. And then thing that you can do on a daily basis, if you're generating reviews, like we've got restaurants that are generating a dozen plus reviews a day. I've got service companies that are doing a handful of new reviews, 1 to 4 or 5 every single day, but they also respond to those reviews that are coming in. 3/4 of all business owners do not respond to every single review that comes in. So there's a huge gap in between responses that come in the reviews that come in, and then business owners that actually respond to those reviews. That's something that you have a huge opportunity to make a big difference with, and that most business owners miss. And it's a lot of the time because they don't get the email from Google, they don't log into the Google business profile, or potentially, they don't log into a third-party software that's going to help them with that. But that's pretty much the number one thing you can do is as you're generating new reviews, just show some activity by responding to those new reviews that you already have had, or you're just now getting in because you're actively participating and asking consumers for those reviews.
Oh, this is great. I did not realize that even responding to that email about holiday hours sends that signal to Google like, yes, we're active. So I love that. If you're watching and you're a marketer and you are a manager on multiple Google My Business profiles like I am, I haven't always responded. So because I'm like, well, the business owners should, but this is something that you can offer as a marketer to business owners as a service. Like, hey, I'm going to touch that profile for you often, a couple times a week, upload images, make updates, and respond to those type of emails to make sure you're right at the top of the list and sending those signals to Google. I absolutely love that. I think that is a wonderful tip that I haven't really heard anybody else say, because I definitely get those emails about holiday hours. So that's really great.
Yeah, they're going to ask you, right? And they want to know. So it is a change in your Google business profile, whether it's active or not. It's just not there. So even if you adjust it just slightly, it makes a difference.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, Jeff, you are a serial entrepreneur. You have, you teach webinars all the time. You have a wonderful program, the Yes Method. I wanted to kind of shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about your latest project, your mastermind, the Vault.
Mhm.
I know that you're, sending this back out to people. You're doing something really cool and innovative, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that. And if you're watching this and you know me, I've talked about masterminds before. I am in a mastermind. I've talked about that on specifically on LinkedIn, if you're watching from LinkedIn. So Jeff, let's talk a little bit about the Vault and how that's helping you grow your company, and how relationships with other businesses really allow you to grow your business.
I can tell you flat out, if it wasn't for masterminds and groups with other like-minded, similar level or level above where I was at, I would be where I'm at in business and life today. Some of my best friends have come from mastermind groups, and if you don't know what it is, it's a collective of other business owners at or above your level, of where you're at in business, who have valued interest in your growth, or have some sort of complement or ability to give you a referral or a Rolodex intro to help your business, where it's kind of like a hive mind or like a small trust, if you will, that you can put in, hey, I'm looking to solve this problem right now. Or, hey, has anybody had experience X, Y, or Z and use this in their business? And if so, what were your results? And in these cases, we get together once a month in a virtual room in a Zoom meeting, and we go through kind of what's the wins, the hurdles, the asks, what's happening in your particular business. And if somebody has the solution or has had the experience, they are bringing it and help accelerate your overall success, because they've been there, they've done that, right? The fastest way to be successful in business is to learn somebody else's lesson and not fall and do the same thing, because they've already had the data point that this is not something you want to do. Or, hey, we went this route and these were our results and they worked really, really well. You should try this. And if you're a marketer, if you're a business, you know that the tide's always changing. Some of the seasons, and the summers are slow. We're getting into a faster season right now where people are starting to wake up. So those are the things that, as you hit those, if you have a group that's already helping you plan ahead, and you have a Rolodex you can pull from if you ever need a resource or a link to somebody that maybe, hey, does anybody know, you put out a big name out there, or connection to, or has anybody had experience with something, you now have a conglomerate. You have a group of folks that can say, let me introduce you. And it comes with that handshake referral. It comes with that recommendation. If somebody says you should go work with Doreen, you don't have to go spend 5 different interviews over 3 weeks trying to figure out who you're going to work with. If somebody says, I've used Doreen before, go use Doreen for your social media strategy. Somebody's just going to go, okay, cool. I'm going to trust that she's in the group, or I'm going to trust that this is where they're coming from. And I've done that with certain people in the group. I'm like, okay, I can go 2 or 3 people. I know the results that I had, and they're going to be accountable to not only me, but the person that came referred to. So it's almost like they've got 2 levels of recommendation there, where, hey, you're going to make sure this is done right because I'm referring you to a friend that's in this group. So it's been huge for me over the past decade, 12 years or so in this business for myself, where having the introduction to the individuals, the folks that are the experts, or if I don't have the expert in the group, somebody knows the person that I need to talk to, or the specific person I'm asking for, and I can get that introduction. So it's like it's a fast track to your business, and it's an inside look to businesses that you would never know what's going on if you weren't part of this inner circle, this group. And it becomes a family where if people know that things are going on in your life, or things that are happening, they actually don't only reach out because they need something for business. They become your business family. They become the friends that you're talking to. They become the folks that they understand and get you. Because a lot of us entrepreneurs, we miss the day-to-day interaction of being at an office, or working with people kind of either in our homes or an office, or you're not really in a big setting where you have a lot of social interaction. These become the folks that you're closer to, and they also become your biggest support network, because they understand your challenges and who you are. And they also potentially have solutions to a lot of the problems that you're facing.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff. I've shared this before. I've been in masterminds before. Initially, I was in a mastermind with several female social media managers. We were all at the start of our career. We all were moms with young kids, and we just had so much in common, but we were really able to help each other grow our businesses by being that sounding board, by giving advice, by even just listening. And sometimes all you need is listening ear, and you need to just talk yourself through your problems. And then they're like, yeah, and now as my business has grown, and I love what you just said, Jeff, people at your level or above, to me, that is the key. Anytime you outgrow your mastermind, if you're the one in the mastermind that always has the advice, always has all the connections, always has all the answers, you're beyond that mastermind, right? You need to get to that next level. And so I think it's important to recognize that not all masterminds last all the time, that you are in the right one with the right people, where you pull people up, but they also pull you up. And if you're only doing the reaching down and pulling them up, you need to move to a different one. And also the other fact is that people can be in multiple masterminds. Currently, I am in 2, and I absolutely love it. So if you're a marketer, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a solopreneur, and you feel that loneliness, look into masterminds and come talk to Jeff, come talk to me about what that looks like, and how to find a mastermind that fits your need. So I think that is almost a great place to end. I do want to ask you, Jeff, we talked about reputation management, Google reviews. You have a method for people to really help them kind of strategically move through and make sure that they've got their Google set up right, and that they have this, it's like a method. Let's call it the STAR method, right? So I'm going to show down below. If you want to find out how to get this, how to get started with reputation management, prevent a huge PR crisis, go to reviewly.ai/stars. Jeff, you want to say anything about this? What does STAR stand for?
Yeah, so STARS is actually an acronym. Being former military, everything I do has an acronym. So it's SCAN, which is for devices, text, which is SMS, ask, right? Train your staff to ask, and then respond to every review that comes in. That's where most people go. And then stream. Make sure that you do share those reviews as well. So if you use that STARS method, you can help control what the overall perception of your business is and prevent that PR nightmare that Doreen was talking about earlier, where something comes in, it's not just sitting there as a blemish on your Google profile. A lot of business owners take anything that's not a 5-star review personally, and you can't. You actually can turn a negative into a positive by properly responding using that STARS method, so that folks can see that, yes, while that customer may not have been happy, look, everybody under the wall human. A bad day, a bad employee, right, from 2 years ago is not going to affect what happens when I walk in today. So by using the STARS method, you can on the path to preventing that PR nightmare and making sure that your business is in the best possible light for anybody else that is looking at your Google business profile and look to work with you moving forward.
All right. So how can people connect with you? How can they know more about Reviewly? One of the things that we didn't mention is that you've got a wide label options. If you're an agency owner, if you do reputation management for multiple clients, this is a fantastic tool to streamline that process. We all know that, there's a lot of different things that go along with managing a Google review and logging in. If you have it all in one dashboard, makes that a whole lot easier. If you're a marketer for a franchise, for example, or like an agency and have multiple businesses that need the service, this is going to make it a whole lot easier. Jeff, how can they reach out to you? Where are you most active on social?
So you go to our Facebook page. You can go look at reviewly.ai on there and send us a message there, or my LinkedIn profile. You can just look up Jeff Schwerdt on LinkedIn, and you'll see that I'm the founder of reviewly.ai. I've got all the Reviewly stuff on there, or you can just look for Reviewly on LinkedIn, follow us, connect with us, and send us a message. Let me know that you found us on here, and we'll have a quick conversation, and maybe it will help you with either your business or if you want to be part of a mastermind.
All right. Awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for getting up early and being part of Q4 for Strategy Talks in 2024. I'm very excited to kickstart this with you today. Back next week with another wonderful guest. If you were here live, thank you so much for staying to the end. I know that was a question. I'm going to answer your question in just a minute in the comments once this is over, because it wasn't necessarily related to Google reputation management, but I do want to answer your question. So thank you so much, Jeff, for being with us today. And thank you for all of those who are here live, and those of you, of course, listening to this podcast, and those of you who watches at a replay. Thank you so much. I'll be back next week. Bye, everybody.